and welcome back to Tiny Artist TV. I know it's been a minute. Also, you may notice my background looks a little different now. That's because, for both reasons of why I've been away and why the background looks different, is I've just recently moved. By recent, I mean like at the end of February, beginning of March. So for the past few weeks, my husband and I have just been kind of like settling into the new space. We just finished setting up the office, so hopefully once we get everything else settled in, this will have a little more decor behind it. But enough about that. So for today's video, and I know I've got one more video in the Consider the Basics series. It's the last video in the series because it's the culmination of all the other videos, which is planning a composition. I will get back to that, but for now, in the midst of all of this mad dash settling, I've gotten back into some other crafts that I kind of put on the back burner for a while, things that I used to enjoy doing with my mom back when I was still living at home, like puzzles. And I know puzzle isn't technically crafting, but I've been doing a lot of puzzles, pretty much gluing them together after I finish with them so I can frame them, and also cross stitching. So I work at a craft store, and every time I walk past that section in the store, I just kind of pause to appreciate all the colors. And I've been working there for some time now, so this has been gnawing at me for that same amount of time, because my mom and I used to do like cross stitch. She still does like stitching, and she still like sews her own clothes from time to time, and so like we grew up doing those kinds of things together, and I just generally missed it. Because even though I do mostly digital art on this channel in my like day-to-day life, I do a lot of traditional art too, and not just like drawing and painting, but like everything. You see me sculpt clay on this channel, and I don't know if I've actually shown any of my yarn work on here, but I taught myself how to crochet last year. So I've made scarves and like blankets and things like that. But recently I've been getting back into cross stitching because it's been a while and I've really missed it. And I've also recently found something super cool that I was super jazzed about. I stayed up way too late finding stuff for this particular website. So it's a website that's called Pick to Pat, so picture to pattern, and I can turn my artwork into cross stitch patterns. I'm very excited because I'm not just getting back into cross stitching. I also want to try my hand at embroidery, because in my mind, and I think this is not just like a me thing, I think this is a sentiment within the embroidery community, that you're basically painting with thread, and I love that idea because DMC, which is like the big embroidery thread company, they make a lot of different yarns. They make metallics, and they make gradients, and just like all sorts of like just every hue and shade and tint and tone, and just like, so basically I didn't go to work. I mean, I did go to work, but I didn't go to work specifically to buy thread that day. I went shopping after I got off of my shift and basically bought myself a nice little starter kit so I can get back into this properly. And today I actually want to, I know this intro is getting kind of long, just thank you for bearing with me if you've made it this far. I actually want to turn, it's not necessarily my pattern yet, but I've been working on a webcomic series for the better part of 2020. Like, I started writing towards the end of, I want to say like June, July-ish, and I've got about like 50 chapters under my belt, and I actually have started drawing it. I think I've started working on chapter 4, and eventually I would like to release it on Webtoons, but because this is such a monster, it's gonna take a while. But I have art of all my characters, and like I've done like mood boards and things like that, so like I could get a vibe for all of my major and minor characters. And one of my absolute favorite characters She's only in one particular arc, and actually that's going to change because I love her so much. I'm going to put her in another arc where she comes across one of the other, the main character is I'm actually not going to say her name because that's kind of a spoiler. If you guys plan on reading it, maybe not. I'm not going to tell you her name, but one of my favorite characters, she's a resident of Rictan, which is one of the planets. It's a world-hopping battle royale style genre story. And so this is kind of, I made this on, was it Doll Divine or was it Maker? I think it was Maker. Well, actually, obviously it says Doll Divine here, but there's a lot of crossover between those doll making websites. And this is kind of what she looks like. So what I want to do, I want to take this design, redraw it, and then make that into a cross stitch pattern. So that's what we're going to be doing for today's video. And then eventually I'll show you guys the finished products because I'm actually working on another one right now. I don't know if I can find it. Give me just a second. Okay, so right now I'm turning this one into a pattern, and it's not this one exactly. I have put this particular picture through Pictopat so that I know like specifically like how much blue and green I need for this particular pattern, but I've kind of made a companion piece for it, and instead of her like doing magic over the flowers, it's kind of the idea of like it's her sister, like these this pair of nature queens, and so while she's over Flora, her sister's over Fauna, and she's got her hand out and she's reaching out towards a butterfly. It's still like at night, there's still a lot of like greens and teals and like purples in it, so I'm working on that one right now. It took me 5 hours just to stitch the border, so we'll see how long this actually takes me. But I'm really excited to be getting back into this, and depending on how well this particular video does, I may do some more like smaller cross stitch and embroidery designs that won't be like the main thing on my channel, because at Tiny Artist TV I like to do a variety of things and just kind of like give you guys small tutorials or just kind of like, you know, just have fun. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the sketch. So here is the finished piece that I'm going to be uploading to Pictopat to create my cross stitch pattern. So we're going to go ahead and open that. I think I already have it, yep, open in my browser here. And then we're just going to choose the image. I have another version of it that doesn't have this signature because I've discovered it actually does still include my signature in there, of course, because it's creating a pattern from whatever image you upload to it. So I've got one that doesn't have my signature on it. So we're going to open that. Go here and here. Okay. And then I'm going to go to next. And of course, if you're getting into cross stitch and embroidery, like this is a great way to create easy patterns that also have as much or as little detail as you want on them. I personally have a few designs that I want to do specifically for like my kitchen and bar area, where like my husband makes his coffee in the morning. So just cute stuff like that. So it's not all going to be artsy stuff like this. So now I'm going to pick my size of stitch. So this gauge here is stitches per inch. So typically most people start with 14, so that's going to be a size 14 is 14 stitches in an inch, 16, 18. The more stitches you have per inch, of course, the more detail you can get. Because I went with more direct color blocking in this one, I think I'm going to be safe going with a 14. And that's what size I set my canvas to anyway, because the one I'm working on now is a 15 by 18 with 14 stitches per inch. So that's the size I'm going to stay with here. So got 14 stitches per inch, and here we go, 15 by 18. So I'm actually, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and size it that way, but then when I buy my canvas, I'm going to buy a little bit bigger because it's pretty much going to be edge to edge if I do it the way that I have it here. And usually you want to stay at least 2 to 3 inches away from your edges because it can start to unravel, especially if you accidentally pick up waist cloth, which is typically what you would use if you're going to put a pattern onto a shirt or a bag or something where you don't want to see your canvas. But for a regular canvas, you can usually use like Aida cloth or something like that. So you can see here, it's kind of low resolution. So what I may need to do is actually go back up my stitch count. I don't want to do 18 stitches, but I might have to. And then actually make it a little bit bigger, maybe a 16 by 20, so that there's more room for that more accurate variation. See, this looks a lot better. And so what you're seeing here is, so it tells you this is 150 colors, and it explains on the screen what each resolution is. This is 120 colors. Even though it's really hard to tell the difference, when they actually generate the pattern, you can tell the difference. And it tells you how many skeins you need to. And a skein is just when you go in and you see those, like the chords, it's one of those chords. So if I go all the way down, you can see it's starting to get more yellow, more gray, to the point where it just completely devolves into something that's just 3 colors. These can get kind of cool. Like this one's not bad. It looks very sepia, very old, but that's not what I'm going for. So I'm going to go back up to the top where my image has a lot more fidelity with the image that I wanted to upload. And even though it is a little bit bigger than I wanted to work, that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and go with, this one's fine. It's 120 colors and I can just make alterations as I need to. So you're just going to click on the image that you want, and then you can open it, and it tells you, it's got your pattern name on here and how many pages it is. So this one is 16 pages, which is actually one of the smaller ones I've done, because the first one I uploaded was 20 pages, but not all of the pages are going to be full pages. So anything that's over here you can see is just empty space, but you can already see how much detail is in each page here. So now that my design is fully uploaded, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, and this is of course my color chart, all the colors that I will need and how many skeins of each I will need. It's telling me I need 32 of Snow White. That's just all the blank space. You can just use a white canvas instead of having to buy 32 skeins of white, because who's going to do that? And then just take it from there. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create a cross stitch pattern for my art. And again, I am working on another pattern at the moment, so it's not going to be an immediate turnaround on this, but I hope in the next few months I can show you guys the finished product. And yeah, so if you guys want to go ahead and try out Piktopat, like especially if you're still doing self-quarantine and you want something to do, it's an easy way to get started. Of course, a lot of craft stores are doing curbside pickup, so you don't necessarily have to go in store to pick up your colors either. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Have a weird day.